Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Bradley.
Let's get cracking. Bottom line is I've been doing this one thing for 26 straight years, internet sales and BDC. This month, July to August, we just have our 30th cover of Dealer Magazine. So we have been on 30 different covers, either us or our clients because of their success. This is a minority dealership in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky that started with doing maybe 15 or 20 cars, brand new minority point. Within 6 months, we quadrupled the business at the dealership with internet sales BDC. The reason why I'm sharing this with you before I get my presentation is I'm not here to give you theories and hypotheses and guesses. I've been doing this for almost 3 decades straight, and I found the algorithm for success. It's been successful for almost 30 straight years. It's successful on the dealership level. It's so successful that Toyota Manufacturer has contracted us to do their entire training curriculum for the Chicago region, which is 112 Toyota rooftops in 4 different states. In addition to that, Cox Automotive just contracted us to build their complete national client one-day workshop that we're doing in late October in Chicago. Again, I'm not trying to impress you, but we only have a little bit of time for me to pack 26 years of knowledge and experience into this. So if all these people are working with us and they have this much success, here's the thing that I'm gonna say that I'm in your house. First and foremost, you guys don't get the respect that you have because you're not a franchise dealer, right? I've heard that before. I've seen it with my own eyes, with my own clients, that for whatever reason, a lot of the vendors don't have the same type of respect because you don't have, if they heard you had sold 10 cars at your entire dealership, they would devalue you. All your blood, sweat, and tears, they would devalue you. And you know what? I am not about that. I don't care if you're like Coons, which just got acquired for $2 billion, were my clients for 4.5 years, or if you sell 10 cars a month. I am going to give you the information so you could do more, be more, and achieve more. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Make some noise, I need some love. Come on. Yeah. Some energy, that's right. I feed off the energy. All right, so first and foremost, the reason we're having this session is because there is a confusion sometimes of lack of process utilization. We want to make sure that everyone is on the same page about the DS hybrid process. What I'm saying is, there's a thing, to BDC or not to BDC. I don't believe in traditional BDCs. There's a reason why 80% of them don't work, they're broken, or they're not profitable. I believe in hybrids, and I'm gonna explain what that means throughout this. A hybrid is gonna take the elements of the BDC, the appointment setters, and mix it with, I think, the necessary equation, which is the salespeople and the product knowledge and the car information. Now, anybody read this book? Okay, of course you did. You know, it's got like 26 pages. It's built for car people like us. You know, what I mean, it's not a. Troy said he read it in an hour. It's simple, but yeah, you can't keep doing what you're doing. You're going to keep getting what you're getting. Now, I understand my audience is mostly independent dealers, but I'm going to source to you the NADA. Why? Because they think they're better than you, right? That's how we feel, that they don't get the same type of love. So I want to show you that even the NADA and franchise dealers don't have this crack yet. They don't. So you can have an unfair competitive advantage against franchise dealers if you listen to me. Fair enough? Yeah. Let's get going.
There's an evolution taking place, and it's all happening online. Online, new habits have been made and forever cemented into daily life. Even consumers who at one time were against online shopping were converted. Once they experienced it, they could see how easy it was, how convenient it was. Now, they're hooked. Researching, shopping, purchasing, socializing, humanizing, all online. From 6-year-olds in first grade utilizing Google Classrooms, to professionals in all industries utilizing Zoom or Microsoft Teams to work from home. Even senior citizens are using Amazon Fresh or Instacart to purchase their groceries for the first time online. So since the world has changed, we have to change. Because despite the blip, there is hope. We have seen 30-plus-year-old sales records broken, and gross profits are more powerful than ever. Dealers have figured out a way to get more with less, because these days a purchase can be made from a voice command and or the touch of a finger. So why would a customer drive to your dealership when purchasing a vehicle can be done from the comfort of their couch? Let's face it, people have evolved. They have been rewired and reconditioned to do everything differently, from research to communications, purchasing, and everything in between, all online. with confidence and ease. The world around us has changed, and so has the world of car sales. Internet sales are the lifeline of the dealership's business. The difference is that now it's no longer a choice, and if you don't evolve, you're choosing to go out of business. Bad times force good habits, and good times create bad habits. So don't be blinded by the blip, and make sure to focus on the future. Processes need to be followed because it's hard to teach people how to fish when the fish are jumping in the boat. So when the market changes, and it will change fast, if you aren't prepared, you'll be in big trouble. Even before the pandemic, the internet and phones were the new showroom. 90% of dealership CRMs were broken and or not utilized correctly. Dealerships were upside down, putting all of their resources into the showroom where the traffic was not. Instead, they neglected where 99% of Americans were going before even stepping foot into the dealership. If you do not adapt and evolve, you will become extinct. Either you will bleed out slowly or be devoured quickly. But regardless, the end result is the same: extinction. Remember Blockbuster, Yellow Cab, Sears? Soon, no one will.
Bottom line, 99% of Americans go online before they step foot into the dealership. Think about that. That means almost everybody. 90% of all transactions start on search. People find their husbands, their wives, their pets, their medication, their houses, their homes, and yes, of course, their automobiles. So think about this. The average buying cycle of a new vehicle, this I did for today's presentation, a new vehicle is over 90 days. That was before the pandemic. With the pandemic, with the less inventories, the factory direct orders, I'm gonna get to you guys at Independence in a second, it had elongated the process from about 120 to 150 days. Special finance and independent dealerships statistically usually between 45 and 60 days that we see at Dealer Synergy. But that too has increased the gestation period because vehicles are more expensive, things are harder to get, approvals, yada, yada, yada. So remember this, it's post 30 days. Right? That's what it says. Whether you're a used car dealership, you're independent dealership, or you're a franchise dealership, it's over 30 days, because it's gonna make sense in a second. Emails have only a 2 to 4% read open rate. Phone calls, on average, my numbers is like about 7 to 8, depending who you ask, might be a little higher. Like I mentioned, we track over 10 plus million outbound phone calls a year, and this is with a non-predictive dialer. So that means whether it's a salesperson, it's a BDC rep, or it's a manager or an owner, if you spent 8 hours straight dialing the phones, on average, you would have, let's say, 7 to 8% people picking up the phones. Now, the average prospect is researching 9 plus different dealerships and our websites besides your dealership. Here's the key to this presentation right here. Residual flow factor is one of the most powerful ways to add massive amount of volume and gross. This is why Toyota OEM engaged me. This is what we've done for Bob Ruth Ford, who, by the way, sells 4 to 1, 4 used cars for every 1 new car. So they're a used car dealership that happens to have a Ford logo on the building. They are in Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, population 2,500. Sticks, corn, cows, Pennsylvania is what we call it, right? So we took that store from 75 units a month on the internet to 350 units a month out of the internet, population 2,500. And that's one of the cover stories that we have because of the residual flow factor. What's that? You'll find out in a couple more slides, I promise. Let me profile the average dealership for NADA. The average dealership, there's 18,100 franchise dealerships. There's about 10 salespeople, 2 sales managers, GM, GSM, and an F&I manager, and maybe 1 or 2 BDC reps. All of that, right? All of that to just sell 96 units a month. Facts. That's real. Now here's where the conundrum comes in. Let me give you graphics because I'm visual, right? That's a bunch of people for literally 360 ups. All those people that I just mentioned over here, 360 ups to deliver 96 cars. Now those ups could be internet, BDC, walk-in lot, whatever, but that's the total. Here's the reality. On the flip side though, dealers only have a fraction of the resources for the majority of the opportunity. On top of that, internet BDC staff are the least respected, least trained, and least experienced people in the dealership. And I'm not talking about Tracy's dealership, because Tracy gets it. But for most stores, even franchise dealerships, that is the reality. Here's something, especially for my colleagues in here, this is legit. Before the pandemic, the average lead generation for a franchise dealership was roughly about 400 leads. Since the pandemic has actually increased about 20%, it's 500. The that is from OEM leads, that's from leads to the website, and digital marketing, let's say third-party providers, online classifieds, social ads, all that stuff. Here's the reality that most people don't get. 500 leads does not account for at least 900 residual flow factor leads. So if a dealership, does anybody here get at least 500 fresh internet leads a month? Raise your hand. Okay, perfect. Okay, so there's like 2, all right? 3. So listen to what I'm about to say. If you get 500 fresh leads a month, what's today's date? Out loud. August 1st. So if you ran a report in ProMax, shout out to my ProMax guy here, right? So, or whatever CRM that you're in, if you ran a report today on August 1st, that means do that, please. Sometime today, because you can't go back in time in your CRM, and just ask the simple question, how many active internet leads do I have today? Franchise dealers that are 90 days or less, independents, 60 days or less. In a franchise situation, if you ran that, it would be 900 active leads as of today. Then in the month of August, from the 1st to the end, you have 500 fresh. That means in the month of August, you have 1,400 total opportunities. Does that make sense? That is a big wow, because that's gonna leave a tremendous amount of opportunity on the table. So let's go through this. Too many leads, not enough people. Dealers do not have the right amount of reps to handle the internet purchase requests created within the month. Never mind have enough people for the residual flow factor. Dealers are drowning their people with leads. Dealers are not giving reps enough time to work and cultivate prospects. Dealers do not have their CRM set up correctly with the right gestation periods, the right frequency, the right diversification of communication mediums, the right automation, integrations, AI, and they don't train their people correctly. Listen, you know what we just said earlier about how these vendors and other people don't give used car dealers the respect? I just did a major NADA 20 group. I'm not gonna give you the number, but I promise you I did this about a week and a half ago in Colorado. General Motors, that's all I'll give you. They had at least 5 or 6 stores that are only doing between 40 and 60 cars. There's some of you that are doing way more than that, and it's independent. They have the same problems. Franchise dealers, even like I just mentioned, they don't have the right infrastructure to handle the fresh leads. Forget about even having a shot in hell of trying to convert the residual flow factor to carryover leads. Is this tracking? You guys understand what I'm saying? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Because if you don't, I got a cool video to make this work. We gotta watch this because this is hilarious and it's true. This is your stores. This is your CRM.
Wrapping department.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the candy will pass by on this conveyor belt and continue into the next room where the girls will pack it. Now, your job is to take each piece of candy and wrap it in one of these papers and then put it back on the belt. If one piece of candy gets past you and into the packing room unwrapped...
That's your sales manager.
You're
He's gonna figure it out
fired.
yet.
Yes, ma'am.
Let her roll!
Oh, this is easier.
Fine, you're doing splendidly. Speed it up!
That's sales manager. Come on, more. Because this doesn't happen. We can't even handle what we have, but we get more. We need more leads. We need more ups. We need more views. We need more this, more that. But we can't even handle what we've got right now. I just don't get it. The reality is that dealers are upside down. So dealerships are putting their time, their money, and their resources into areas where the business is no longer at. They're still staffing their stores the same way they did 30, 40, and 50 years ago. This is not a joke. This is I feel like I'm like, oh, is anybody listening to me? You know what I mean? Like that's how I cannot believe that we still have the same infrastructure for half a century ago when we sell cars. Not some of us, the majority of automotive dealerships. Communications changed in the last 12 months. Forget about the last 50 years, right or wrong?
Right.
There we go. Okay, so this is dumb, but I put this on purpose. Would you put a bunch of phones in front of a dealership to make more money? Like payphones? No. It's outdated and no one uses it anymore. If this is absurd to you, hey, great idea. Let's go put phone booths in front of our dealership so we can make some extra money. It's absurd. Well, so is the way that the majority of dealers are setting up their infrastructure, setting up their model, their ecosystem to be able to handle business in 2024 to 2025. Same thing. Now, and on top of all this, there's conflict usually between whoever's doing the internet or BDC or the showroom or management staff. And it has to do with lack of communication and lack of clarity. If the only people that are learning about this is the internet or BDC rep, of course there's going to be dissension, frustration, confusion with everybody else. This has got to be a global culture, not just a problem or a job delegated to one or two people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, for you that have never heard of this book, this is one of the most incredible books that I've ever read for business. I'm actually officially partnered with the Franklin Covey Company. Me and my wife have been certified trainers and facilitators for over 16 years. And this is how we built 11 companies, 3 of them in the multi-million-dollar category, and I've been together for 17 and a half years, 4 kids, 3 pugs, because this whole system. So I take a lot of credence into it. Covey talks about this concept that you can tell what's important to people by their spends, where they spend their money and where they spend their time. So again, it's not just the money, it's not just the time, it's both. So are you investing time and resources in your dealership to handle, literally, not figuratively, the single most powerful opportunity in your dealership for profitability, which is the internet or business development initiative? When 99% of Americans are going through this funnel, this area, I need to make sure that I'm going to make sure it's maximized and I'm putting my chess pieces in the right order, in the right positions on the board. Does that resonate?
Yes.
Okay. Now, to make this make sense, and Troy, I think you're going to like this, Covey talks about the see-do-get model. What they say is paradigms. The way that somebody perceives something is going to directly influence what they do, their behaviors. And then what they do, their behaviors are going to directly correlate their results. Does this concept make sense? So if you are a leader in your organization or manager, if you want change, solidified change that actually happens and has longevity, you don't want to just fix the problem, we're not selling cars. So don't worry about just the results. Don't worry about what you're doing, your behaviors that are causing those bad results. Start to influence paradigms. Because if you could start to change the paradigm or perspective of your people, of your dealership, if you start to change that culture, then that's how you're going to be able to evolve. Sincerely, let me break it down. So here are a list of incorrect paradigms of internet BDC. Internet BDC department is too expensive. You can't make any money. Internet customers are a pain in the neck and not worth it. Internet leads suck and are a waste of time. I can't find the right people for my internet department. I don't have enough people for my internet department. I've tried ABC, XYZ lead source providers before and they don't work. I tried a BDC before and it didn't work. I waste a lot of time and money. Internet reps don't know what they're doing and they're wasting money. You're missing a word there. So if a dealership feels that way, that's their paradigm, well, what is going to happen? How are they going to treat it if that's what they feel? Well, let's go. I think they're not going to invest in building and cultivating a profitable department. They do not invest time or money in creating an internet strategy. They do not invest in third-party lead providers or proper digital marketing. They do not invest or create a real recruiting strategy and settle for mediocrity. They don't invest in training, professional development, and team building. They're not going to respect the CRM and hold their team accountable for it. They don't give it enough time. They give up before it even gets ramped up, and they Frankenstein the process. Frankenstein the process. Sound familiar? And what do you think, if that's their paradigm and that's their behaviors, what do you think the reality is going to be? Control chaos, a fraction of potential sales versus what is rightfully there. Splintered and inconsistent follow-up. Prospects buying from competitors because the ball was dropped. Bad customer service and withdrawal from the emotional bank account of prospects and clients. Time wasted and money not being made. You now feel you're right, the internet BDC does suck. Wasting money on things that don't work because you don't work at the things that can work. See how it's circular? It's an ecosystem. Change the paradigm. Now, after 26 years of purely internet sales, BDC, CRM, digital immersion, here's the secret that I figured out. It's not gonna be that good, so I'm dramatic pause for a reason here. The hardest part of internet sales is just getting engagement. That is it. It is not selling the car. It's not getting the appointment to show up. It's not getting, the commitment to the appointment. It's not even the things that you think and stress it is. The single biggest problem is engagement, because it can take you days, weeks, or months before you have the first engagement. And too many dealerships, especially franchise dealerships, right? They are horrific when it comes to following up past a certain time. From my experience working with independent dealerships, you guys never had that long-term protocol, right? So you're not missing as much as what I believe that the franchise dealers are. Your buying cycle is much shorter. But again, follow me on this. Don't take from all this information today something other than this one point right here. If you could just take one point from this part of the presentation, engagement. That will change your dealership's ecosystem. What does that mean? Instead of looking at this, I'm gonna go on my CRM, I'm gonna have my employees go on the CRM and just make attempts. There's all these half-ass attempts. They're like, if it has a phone number and it just rings, they don't bother trying to do a reverse lookup. They don't go to whitepages.com. They're not going to spokio.com and trying to find a contact information. They're not diversifying the communication mediums. Instead of just using phone call, email, and text, maybe start using video email, video text message, social media DMs, Apple FaceTimes, e-cards. Now look, I'm not here on any specific CRM, but I'm going to tell you something. Drive-centric, that's got some crazy technology to it. You've got ChatGPT integration. You have the ability to have a content asset library from animated GIFs, memes, as well as video email, video text messaging. So if you're, I'm not saying get Drive-centric at all. It's not even my favorite CRM, to be honest, but it's a good one. But if you have any other CRM and you're not even paying attention that your competitors have all those resources to execute to increase their engagement, you're sleeping at the wheel. Does that make sense? This is so important, especially for you all in this room when you're a smaller business. And man, I feel you. 10 cars, I get it. This is what you need to do. It's not about the attempts. It's about the engagements. I would focus on engagement spiffs. That's what you want to be able to do. At the end of the day, this is a customer factory, like an assembly line. The more outbound attempts, strike that, the more diversified outbound attempts, more connections, more appointments, more shows, more sales. Hakuna Matata, right? It's the circle of life. Rinse and repeat. Again, attempts, connections, appointments, shows, sales. Repeat. But it all stems from the engagement. There's stuff like, I'm gonna just give a shout out to Troy and what he's doing over there with the AI. That helps tremendously with engagement, especially if you are HR deficient or you are overextended or you're not an expert at this stuff. Leverage technology to be able to assist where you need to. So the hardest part is getting a hold of somebody. Make sure when you do get a hold of them, you've got a plan and training to be able to execute. Now, not having the correct model for internet sales BDC effect has a different effect, okay? So not having the proper model for how you handle your internet BDCs has an adverse effect that most people don't pay attention to. Check it out. This is true. This is from one of the top NADA 420 groups. I was talking to a GM of this group. He had a single point Ford store that he was responsible for. He had 300 sales a month. He was proud of it. How many salespeople do you have? 27. I'm like, all right, okay, that doesn't sound like it's awesome, but it's not bad. Then I asked him the critical question, how many deliveries out of the 300 are from internet ups and phone ups? He said 165. So I did the math, 135 divided by 27. I'm like, well, wait a minute here. Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. So if you basically take internet and phone deals out of it, his salespeople are only averaging 5 units a piece. That's not good. Volume hides mediocrity. It's gonna make more sense. When we put in our internet BDC model here, not only do they sell more internet BDC cars, but we were able to help them increase at least 2 units times 27 salespeople. So it was a 54 net increase. Here's what it looks like. Okay, there's 8 ways that a showroom salesperson could sell a car, or there's 8 ways that a dealership could sell a car. Now, if you don't have a service department at your dealership, then you have 7, okay? But you have walk-in spots, you've got B-backs, you've got phone ups, you've got internet ups, you've got service conversions, you've got previous customers / orphan owners. They're similar, but they're different. You have referrals and you have the lost auto prospecting. So follow me what I'm saying to you. Here is the problem. Problem number 1 is that I believe that most dealers don't have the right infrastructure, CRM set up to handle properly the internet leads within the 31 days. On top of that though, because of their poor infrastructure, it is overtaxing, I believe, the salespeople and the team that they have in place. They're hitting a point of diminishing return. There is no way in hell that you're going to be able, even at an average store that has 1,400 opportunities a month, handle 1,400 internet leads between fresh and carryover and walk-ins, be-back, service conversions, previous orphan referrals, prospecting, and doing product presentation, demonstration, drive, delivery. Something's not going to pencil out. Mathematically, it doesn't make sense. Can I just tell you something? I'm going to take you back. You ever been sitting in front of somebody and they're looking at a $25,000 car or a $30,000 car, and you think that they're highly intelligent, you have a good conversation, they can conjugate verbs, and then they tell you something ridiculous like, I want to put 0 down and be at like 210 a month. And you're like, what? That's how I feel every day of my life in my job. I swear to God. When I talk to dealers and GMs, it's exactly how you feel when you are presenting numbers to a prospect. It's like, what? So please don't be that person, because you know how you feel when you're talking to that prospect. That's how I feel. Because this, to me, makes all the sense in the world. You want all of it. Why should you choose where your profits are going to be? Why should you go, you know what? I think I'm going to just make money in this area, or that area, or this area. It's all money. I want all of it. You're leaving it on the table because you don't have the proper infrastructure or strategy. Tracy said this at least 3 times in the last 24 hours, that car people have ADD, entrepreneurs have ADD. He's 100% right. Shiny object, I'm all over the place. I got a shiny suit, I keep looking at myself, right? And I get distracted. So the third habit is one of my favorite ones. It's put first things first. It's so good, wait for it. Be careful of distractions disguised as opportunities. Be careful of distractions disguised as opportunities. When you go back to your dealerships from this event, you have a myriad of information. You got abundance of all this information. What you need to do is take a step back and say, okay, what is the preeminent opportunity? Which means, what is the mecca, the supreme, the single most important thing that I could do or engage that will have the most profound, dramatic effect on my organization? And I challenge anybody to tell me something more than internet. When 99% of Americans go online, when it can be instant as well as long-term gratification, if used properly, you could take a store from 75 units to 350 in East Bumble-Jabloog, Pennsylvania. You follow me? So make sure that you put first things first with your resources. Here's what I believe that you all should focus on when you go back to your dealerships if you want to maximize internet the right way. Setting up the proper infrastructure to maximize internet sales and inbound phone ups. Making sure you take full advantage of the residual flow factor opportunities, which I'm going to get into. Create a system that utilizes all your HR correctly. Make sure your strategy in the showroom sales floor enables the dealership to maximize the 8 ways to sell cars. Let's now go into, in our philosophy of dealer synergy, building the best or the most powerful hybrid department. You need a dedicated internet director or a manager, and I call them internet coordinators and point guards. So this is what my model is. We have a head of the department, we have internet coordinators. Are those BDC reps? No, let me give you a quick translation. In our system, a BDC rep could do everything from internet sales, phone sales, data mining, equity mining, lease retention, acquisition, special finance, service BDC, unsold showroom traffic. That's one of the reasons why BDCs are broken and non-profitable, because they get a bunch of people in a room and they're changing hats. I'm the unsold showroom traffic person, I'm the data mining person, I'm the acquisition person. Jesus, come on. We know just in the car sales, I used to do special finance too for a long time. There's a big difference if somebody wants to buy a new, used, or a credit deal, right or wrong. On a credit deal, it's not about the car, even if the prospect thinks it is, it's about what? The approval, right? So if I'm an untrained fledgling in that department, how am I qualified to learn all these different roles? And even if you could, why do you want to? Does that make sense? That's why we call them internet coordinators. We do have BDC reps, but we start with internet coordinators first, because I believe the internet and phones are the foundation, like the mighty redwood tree that Covey talks about in the 7 Habits. They're the foundation that you roll into as you evolve to full-blown BDC. Point guards is a Sean Bradley dealer synergy thing. I think it's kind of cool. It's not easy to implement, but if you do, it'll take you to the promised land. Focus on internet and phones only. This is what I was just talking about. The best model is a hybrid. A hybrid model is the best of both worlds. Qualified internet director with sales management experience. Now, I'm giving you the ideal situation. If you can't do it, that's why MacGyver exists. You gotta do what you gotta do to survive until you're able to scale. I get that, but I'm giving you what the best scenario is. You want a manager that's not just a glorified BDC rep. You want somebody theoretically that has sales management or desking experience. If 99% of the business comes from one area, why would I have the weakest manager? And if you're honest with yourself, usually the internet director is the weakest manager in the dealership. They're not the sales managers, the desk managers, the F&I managers. It's the internet manager, which is horrible because they should be empowered, because they have way more ups than anybody else in the dealership has. They have way longer gestation periods and timelines. They got CRM, technology, transparency, and a bunch of maniacs yelling at who you got coming in, right? Possibly an assistant director depending on the size of the department, dedicated coordinators, point guards. These are qualified and trained showroom sales reps working synergistically with the department and the coordinators. Overflow. And then if you did this department the right way, and after it's successful with the internet and phone deals converting, then you could roll in on social and traffic, special finance, lease retention, whatever it might be. So in our departments, we might have a hybrid BDC, we have an internet director or BDC director, we might have internet coordinators that just do internet and phones, and we might have BDC reps that are just doing data mining, equity mining, acquisition, stuff like that. Internet director needs to have car sales experience, needs to have sales management experience, needs to be trained and cross-trained, needs to be given the respect that they deserve, need to have support from the dealer principal and the GM, needs to be compensated fairly and based on what their responsibilities are, which we talked about earlier today. Assistant director, again, from what I'm hearing with the stores, this is probably not needed right now, so it'll be in my PowerPoint that you guys can have, so skip. The internet coordinator though, these are the appointment setters, needs to be focused on internet and phone sales only, no BDC work, must be highly trained. Here's the thing, minimum of 3 weeks of onboarding. I was just talking to a dealer yesterday, right before I flew out here to come here, and I asked him a question. So you're tier 1 technician, a tier 1 mechanic. How long does it take for them to get certified to do that? They're like 1 to 2 years, is that about right? Okay, and how much does a frontline entry-level technician make? The guy I talked to, also down south, said between $40,000 and $50,000. I don't know if that's right for you guys, but can you imagine spending 1 to 2 years to make a measly $40,000 to $50,000, no disrespect, but it is what it is. And yet we want to just incubate a BDC rep in 3 days to handle tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing, advertising, branding, all this other stuff. And that training is not even usually structured or it's antiquated. How does that make sense? It's okay that we are going to put somebody in school to change oil and basic stuff, but we are going to just half-ass it when we have somebody that's literally on the front lines of your business. Do you remember back what I just said a couple of months ago, that analogy, if I'm going through the qualification process and the prospect wants to be at $210 a month with nothing down, this is that thing again. It's like, I don't get it. This is so simple. This can help you immediately. Now, develop them to become highly skilled in both follow-up and sales. To me, here's something as well. When I train and when we teach our internet and BDC reps, we don't ever teach them how to set appointments. We don't ever teach them how to ask for the appointment. That is basic. We teach them how to sell the appointments because that is still a sale. They're not customer service. They are there to either sell the appointment. If they can't sell the appointment, they're there to sell the car. There's a difference from asking versus selling. True or false?
True.
This is the one that might be confusing. So let's just take a dealership. Let's just use somebody that's here. Who's got like a medium to larger size business, like internet department? I guess Tim. Okay, how many salespeople do you have right now? 4, okay. And you said 600 internet leads, right? He's not gonna be able to maximize everything if he's only focusing on the 600 fresh leads he's getting in July. So he's got probably about 900 leads that he's gonna start with in August 1st, give or take. Can you imagine how many salespeople do you have again? 4?
4.
Okay, but forget about the easy. How the heck will 4 salespeople handle 600 internet leads and then the 900 carryover leads? It's mathematically impossible, and to do product presentation, demonstration, drive, delivery. So he's got 3 BDC reps. Here's the reality. If he does the schedule that we recommend, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 to 8, Tuesday and Thursday, 9 to 6, is shift 1. Shift 2 is the opposite. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 to 6, Tuesday and Thursday, 11 to 8. Got the math? That means he's got 3 people. 2 people literally might not be there for the first 2 hours or the last 2 hours. And the last 2 hours are prime time. That's not acceptable. Let me give you a simple analogy. If we have a salon, right? If we have a salon and there's 3 chairs, how does a salon owner make the most amount of money? Simple. They need customers in that chair from open and close, and they need stylists from open and close. It doesn't matter if they have a line around the block if they only have 2 stylists and 3 chairs. They're not ROI. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you've got 3 BDC terminals, but they're only fractionally operational, oh snap, I think of it like that. It gets worse. When you have 5, 6, 7, 9, 12, 15 BDC reps, it's even worse. And we didn't even talk about rotating on Saturdays or Sundays. We didn't talk about people getting fired, quitting. We didn't talk about people who get sick or they got to go to the DMV or any of that stuff. So what we do is we basically take a portion of the sales force. For us, it's about 40%. 40% of the sales force, we're going to make point guards. What is a point guard? A point guard is when a salesperson is not doing a product presentation, demonstration, drive, or delivery. They're going to make sure that their CRM follow-up is done for unsold. They're going to check with the desk and say, hey, I'm on the point guard team. They're going to go to the internet director. The internet director is going to shop call and tell them where they need to go. So for example, if I'm the internet director for Tim's store and there's 3 internet reps and LA is the point guard, I'm gonna say, hey, LA, Tiana doesn't come in until 11 o'clock. I need you in that file. So a point guard, one of those things is a substitute teacher. So if you're on the point guard team, if you're not doing a product presentation, demonstration, drive, delivery, you are a BDC rep. Here's the problem with that. Why in the world would anybody do that crappy job? Okay? Reason number 1 is because whatever they make, they take. So if you're working in Tiana's file, whatever you make, you take. But here's the real reason, that's just crumbs. The real reason is because who gets all of the deals that the internet and BDC makes? Well, in my system, it's gotta go to the point guard first. If you're on the point guard team, if you are available, then the appointment's gonna go there. That way, if I'm a point guard, I'm not worried about wasting my time in the BDC for 6-7 hours and not getting somebody on the phone. It's great, I can make whatever I take, but I'm good because I'm getting fed by the BDC reps. The counter thing is, it's not fair. Look, if you want to run your business like Obamacare or Socialist Republic, that's on you. This is not the theme of the Red Cross in my world. For me, I want to put the right people in the right positions to make the most amount of money. So what you want to be able to do is have a team of people that are focused on the internet, that are trained, that want to do this. What about everybody else? First and foremost, everybody will still get some of the internet opportunities. Point guards get more. Well, what about everybody else? Remember, there's 8 ways to sell cars. Unless you don't have a service department, there's 7. So that's what they do. That's how we leverage the ecosystem. By having a proper infrastructure for the internet BDC, we maximize that opportunity. And then we have the other aspect of, I now get my other salespeople that are not primary internet people to work on the other things that we don't normally do. B-backs, orphan owners, service conversions, referrals, prospects, etc. If you have 500 fresh leads and you got 900 carryover leads, that's 1,400 leads in a month. This is what we've been doing for years that works like clockwork if we work the system. I'm reverse engineering into this. 5 agents are making 120 calls a day. That is beyond realistic. I've got decades of proof on YouTube of that. That's not hard. Especially when there's only, remember, a 8 to 10% connection ratio. So do the math. 5 BDC reps, we call them internet coordinators, making 120 calls a day. That's about 600 calls a day times 22 employee working days. Doesn't matter what the dealership's open, the employee working days. That's 13,200 outbound calls. At a 10% connection ratio, that's a little high, but as a trainer, that's good for you guys to wrap your mind around. That's 1,320 connections. At a modest 33% appointment made ratio from connection to appointment, not from lead, but from connection. So this is realistic. It's 436 appointments. We at Dealer Synergy have a national appointment show ratio, because we don't ask for appointments, we sell them, 65% show. That's 283. Then from appointment show, it's about a 50% close ratio, which is 142. I'm not saying 50% close from lead. I'm saying 50% from appointment show, from BDC or internet appointment show. It's about a 50% close ratio. Most of the information is done there. That is 142 units. Folks, most people that have 500 leads barely even sell 50 net cars the right way. And even if they get to 50 or 60, it is rare that you're gonna see a 500 lead per month dealership doing 142 cars solely from that sideline. Does that make sense? All right, listen, there's a lot of information. We will turn on and set up probably a 30 or 40 minute strategy session. You can ask any elaborate questions if you don't feel good here in front of everybody. Cool? All right, thank you guys very much.
Listen, if you don't have access to Bradley On Demand, you're missing out on crucial information. The top automotive groups like Coons, Lithia, and Norm Reeves have all used Bradley On Demand to train their teams. And guess what? The world's #1 car salesman, Cody Carter, shares his exclusive strategies right here. You want his secrets? You gotta have Bradley On Demand. Stop waiting and start winning. Dominate your market. Click the link and get access now.